Hello students and welcome to another video of IELTS with Coach Brad. I am of course Coach Brad and today we are going to be looking at writing task 2. This time we are going to focus on the essay type with the advantages and the disadvantages. In my last video I looked at opinion essays and focused more on the introduction. In this video I'm going to focus more on the main body as well as the conclusion. So, let's begin. As you probably already know, for writing task 2, the score is higher than for writing task 1. So you need to also write more, 250 words or more, and you should use about 40 minutes for this task. Make sure you finish writing task 1 with enough time so that you are able to write 250 words for writing task 2. The structure is a little bit different to writing task 1. You'll definitely need to have an introduction and a conclusion, and your main body will be 2 or 3 paragraphs. The essay type I'm going to focus on today is the advantages and disadvantages essay. In this one, you need to decide if there are more positives or more negatives associated with the topic that they give you. It doesn't matter which one you choose, but your essay structure will depend on whether you believe there are more advantages or more disadvantages. Let's have a quick look at the example which I have given. This one is about technology in schools. Many schools are allowing students to use technological devices such as tablets and laptops in the classroom to aid their studies, even though they can be misused or cause distractions. Do you believe the advantages of using these types of devices in classes outweigh the disadvantages? So you need to decide immediately whether or not you believe that gadgets such as tablets and laptops do more good or whether they do more harm. Before you start, you need to form your opinion. It does not matter whether the examiner agrees with your opinion or not, and there is a good chance different students will have different opinions. Also, you don't need more than 2 of each advantages and disadvantages because then you cannot go into enough detail on each one. So you definitely do not want to be making a list. And also, it might help if you think of some vocabulary before you start. You definitely want to have some alternatives to the advantages and disadvantages vocabulary. I have shown you some on this slide, so make sure you learn them because you want to use some variety in your essay and not always just use the same vocabulary. If you remember from my last lesson, you basically need to rewrite the questions in your own words and also say that there are both advantages and disadvantages to the topic. If the question asks you, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, you also need to give your opinion in the introduction. Outweigh just means which one has more. Imagine a seesaw and you have a heavy kid on the left side and a light kid on the right side. The seesaw will be on the ground on the side of the heavy kid because the heavy kid outweighs the light kid. So that explains the vocabulary, and you probably want to use that verb outweigh some point in your essay because that is the common way that we describe more advantages than disadvantages. Like I already said, you want to just choose one main idea for each paragraph. I am a fast writer, so I am confident I can have 3 paragraphs for my main body. I believe the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, so I have 2 paragraphs for advantages and just 1 paragraph for disadvantages. Maybe your ideas are different to mine. That is completely fine. I said gadgets are good for accessing research materials and also better for the environment, but I also said students can be distracted by games and social media. Make sure each paragraph is at least 3 or 4 sentences long because you want to go into some detail. You want to show the result of your point. In my example, by using gadgets, they don't need to use textbooks, or better for the environment, they don't need to waste paper. That is the result of my point. I have also included some vocabulary here for how you might want to introduce each paragraph. The biggest benefit, that of course is my number one reason. A second reason, that is my number two reason, of course. On the other hand, I am going to introduce my disadvantages. I recommend you take a moment to remember this vocabulary because it will just make it a little bit easier getting moving when it comes to building a paragraph. As you can see, I have some more phrases there. This is because, as a result, for example, these are just some ideas to build your paragraph, but I'm going to go into a lot more detail about that in my next video. So don't worry if at the moment you're still finding it difficult what you should include and how you should structure every little part of the main body. Just make sure you watch my next video. In the conclusion, you want to make sure you summarize all your main points, but not really introduce any more that you didn't include in your main body. You also want to make sure you give your opinion. Make that very clear because the question will ask for it. And if you just need one or two more sentences, especially to get your word count, then maybe you would like to make some recommendations or use a hypothetical situation. My recommendation is I am of the opinion that schools should definitely introduce technology in the classroom, although in a strictly controlled environment to prevent misuse. So that is the end of today's video. Please take some time to read the sample which I have provided. If you have any questions, then leave them in the comments section below the video. But just remember, practice, practice, practice. And I'll see you next time.